Hello, good morning. Welcome to today's experimental project of making a fancy jewelry box for my very fancy new jewels. Um, I've always loved those really fancy Parure boxes that I've seen all over Pinterest with those bazillions of dollars worth of jewelry in them, and I would really love to try something similar to put some of my fancy jewels in. So this is all experimental, so don't take this as a step-by-step tutorial necessarily. I'm just showing you what I'm doing, and we'll hope it works. So as far as materials go, I got myself this nice little box from Michael's. We stained it this pretty brown color. It comes more of a light tone. This was a couple of dollars, not expensive. And I bought a chair cushion, which I'm going to cut down and use to make the padded lining that the jewelry sits in. And I've also got some stretch velvet, which I'm hoping I can use to line the inside of the box to make it nice and soft so that my necklace and earrings don't get scratched. Let's give this a try. The first thing I did was trace out the outline of my box on a piece of paper. I also took off about 1/4 of an inch around to account for the thickness of the wood making up the sides of the box. And this gives me something to start with to figure out how much space I have to put my jewelry in. Next, I laid out all of the pieces of jewelry I wanted to include in the box and tried to lay them out in the most aesthetically pleasing manner possible, kind of similar to what I had seen in other actual boxes online. Once I was happy with the placement of everything, I carefully traced around each piece with a pencil so as to not get any marks on my very expensive new jewels. Alright, so this is my template, more or less, to cut out my chair foam to make sure I've got a space for each piece of jewelry I want to fit in the box. And we'll see how it goes. I then used this template to trace out 2 rectangles with a Sharpie and cut them out so I'd have one for the bottom and one for the top. This was clearly not what these chair cushions were intended for, so it took a little doing to cut them with my scissors. Okay, I've got my 2 pieces. Please don't mind that about in my kitchen. The sunshine is beautiful today. I'm gonna check that these fit in my box before I continue because I don't want to screw anything up. This side looks good. They're a little bit tall, so I'm gonna need my box to close. But this is made out of this very layery fabric, so I think I can just peel a couple layers off and then trim out my little spots to put my jewelry in, and then we'll see about adding the fabric cover on top after that. Next, I cut out all my jewelry outlines that I sketched out earlier, and made sure to hang on to any smaller pieces that were left over inside of the necklace area to make sure I could still trace where my earrings go. Now it's time to cut out all my jewelry spaces. This ended up not being as difficult as I expected because I only had to cut around my shapes and not under the bottom because of the layering of the cushion. I was able to just peel it right up. Okay, so far not looking too bad. Everything's sitting pretty flat except for the earrings, but I think I can get them to stop leaning up so much. I left a little bit of extra room because my stretch velvet is going to take up a little space, but looks like everything fits pretty well and we're ready to try the next step. So now comes the tricky part, trying to cover this with stretch velvet so that it'll look like a nicely finished box. I used my fingers to push the velvet down into each jewelry space, and then sewed a couple of spots around the edges to keep it down in place. I then repeated this process for each jewelry space in my box, working from the inside to the outside. Now that all my spaces are finished, I folded under the excess, trimmed away what I didn't need, and then whip stitched down the edges to keep it all in place. Ended up needing a little extra layer of foam under the bottom because I squashed it too much while sewing it. I also covered the top piece of foam with velvet, but without all of the spaces this time. Okay. I was gonna glue these in, but don't think I need to. Okay, so I am overall super happy with how this came out. Like, it's just, I feel so fancy. But a couple of things I might do differently if I did this project again is I would really like to be a little more careful with the stretch velvet. I ended up with some wrinkles that I didn't really like but couldn't figure out how to get rid of, so I'd want to play with that some more and also figure out how to get my earrings to sit upright like I had intended. They just want to flop over, but overall I'm super happy with it. I'm going to feel so fancy when I'm getting ready for events in the future, and this was a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoyed watching me try to figure this out and had a good time, and I hope that you also have a good day.